Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back, friends and PUBG family. It's game 3 of the North American split. My name's Toffees. I'm joined by Cameron and Skyline, our eye in the sky. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around Mustache Dave's metaphor about going to 7-Eleven and mixing slushy flavors. But I think with a few hours, I can probably get there. That said, with the less than a couple hours, some teams are going to get there, and that's first place in the grand finals. Right now, Space Station Gaming is dominant at 1,028 points. FlyQuest is at 885, Totality at 858, and Gates at 806. That is a massive deviation from how we started our day. What do you do if you're in second, third, and fourth place right now, Cameron?
Just you gotta play better. Like all of those teams. Like I mean, that's an easy answer, but
yeah.
like just I guess on average better, because all those three teams, FlyQuest, Totality, Gates, today these two games have one game that is in the single digits. FlyQuest with it's 7, Totality with 4th, and then Gates with 5th. But then also the second game with double digits, FlyQuest in 15th, Totality with 12, and Gates in 13th. So a really big mixed bag for those three teams. All that they can do is just try and tighten that up and have these last two games be top 7 minimum.
Yep, that's exactly what they have to do. So we're going to wait and see what happens with the landings and the rotations as everyone gets started. It's just two different teams getting in the cars right now. I'm having a little trouble seeing the numbers, I'll be honest with you. So this is Team Envious and Totality moving along together.
Tony V just jumped in a car with a member of Envious, but Check Shooter has a gun. He is going to be dropping him off. Don't worry about this. Try and go for the fist fight, but it's not going to be the case. Check Shooter is going to execute Tony V. A nice pickup, nice first kill of the night, and they were able to keep their car as well. But interesting fight for vehicles, nonetheless.
Nonetheless, that's a Cameron special. All right, it's going to be a northern circle encompassing Severny and the firing range, as well as, of course, the river will probably keep migrating north. Though, according to the players, the circles have largely favored southern migrations so far this evening. You think there's anything to that, or is it just dumb luck?
Yeah, it's just dumb luck. It's only 2 games. That sample size is nothing that even the most sketchy research. The most sketchy research group would make a essay off of, so I wouldn't read too much into it.
Not even Dr. Oz would claim that study is of value.
Basically. Like, that's really reaching for it. And this one, I mean, it's only the first circle, but it's actually pretty far north, which even though they did lose Tony V, unfortunately, we do get another situation like the remade game, where Totality are already in the circle, and if they can loot up quickly, do have priority into a very, very strong spot in a more central location of this first circle.
All right, let's take a look at where the teams have established themselves on the map. So Snofka military base with the same old-fashioned crew. I don't see any major conflict points. We obviously saw that unfortunate 2 teams, 1 car sort of situation that ended about the same way as the video, with one person dying a tragic death. Everyone else, though, seems to have sort of established themselves. It was a good plane in terms of getting you out to the centralized location, though a lot of teams, big transitions up north. The polarization of that northern circle means a lot of massive transitions. Do you have to think about how far ahead do you have to plan in terms of if you're a southern looting team moving to an extreme north circle? How soon do you have to get going?
Depends on if you want to come early or late, but if you're as southern as a lot of these teams are,
I always try to come late, so let's talk about when you'd want to leave if you're trying to come late.
Basically, once the blue, it's about halfway there, more or less. Like, when you can kind of start to see it come over the horizon towards you is when you'd start to move. If you're done looting, then go ahead and go. But if you still want to loot, the earlier you go, it obviously does mean the better, because it means that you can, even if you're not trying to go center, you can still take the time to scout out areas around the edge. But I think that there's really no right time to go in. We've seen a couple of teams actually even tank out the first 2 blues because they want to come in so late and safe. Nice AWM being dropped down.
I love the AWM. I know people want to see like AUGs come out of these things, but when I see an AWM in a care package, it just makes me so happy. It's like a guaranteed 10 kills, you know?
No.
Oh, fair enough.
I actually freeze up when I see one, because it's like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm just gonna. All I know is that I missed my first shot and
Too
immediately
much
died.
responsibility comes
Exactly,
with this
exactly. I'm like,
power.
I have the I'm unstoppable, and so I go into the middle of the field. I miss the shot and say, "Wait a second, this is not how it's supposed to work." And get
The
died.
old double damage rune adage in Dota, right? The idea that you get a buff that's just too strong and end up dying because you feel so
Yeah,
powerful.
exactly.
Interesting. A good point, and only 30 bullets. So there is that stressor of, should I take this shot right now, for those of us who aren't pros and don't hit every single shot. Frolicker has no issues with the Yasnaya pit, jumps right over him and heads off into the northern circle. I like the early rotation coming out of Cloud9. Remember, they did change out a player. Moody lost his power, and we don't mean his ability to kill people. We mean his actual power in his house. So he's going to be replaced by Blue, I believe they said, and we'll see how that transition helps. Though, let's be honest, if you're a team playing right now and you're, let's say, in the bottom 10, there's not a lot of chance you win this tournament, right? So if you have a sub like Blue, this is sort of that situation where you pull someone and you put in a sub to let them sort of get comfortable with the team, because you want your subs to be just as comfortable in actual competitive play and not just scrims as your primary team. So this is also really a great opportunity for Blue to sort of get his foot under him in terms of playing with the team.
Yeah, and hopefully that's a little bit of silver lining that the rest of the squad can look at as well, but I'm sure that it's all just kind of dim, dark, and dreary mood for all of them at this point. Don't know if they're even be able to look through all of that haze to find that silver lining. Microfy taking a couple of shots at Frolicker.
Classic young New Yorker, always looking at the sad side of things. Frolicker, though, trying to find himself a side of this building to move around without getting shot. The guys from FlyQuest say, nope, you can't sit here. And Frolicker says, all right, fine, I'll go somewhere else, and moves on into scout position. I like the scouting from Frolicker. It's a good idea, good transition. Now Team Gates up in the garage house. Biz went down to Mossy. They were readjusting the buggy, and accidents happen. So taking a little play out of the K-Mind playbook.
Hey, this time it's not to keep points away.
Right? At least K-Mind was under intense pressure and fire from multiple sides. This one was just two dudes in a garage having fun with each other. Landoon from Nova is going to lock up the gas station as he waits for the rest of his team to come off of Sosnovka. Milta is starting to empty out as the guys from Render Esports prepare for their transition to the north, and the remainder, Blue and Solid FPS of Cloud9, start their long journey to the other side of the map.
Space Station, actually, we've seen them do this before on a similar circle yesterday, but they popped in boats at the south, and they're going to make a long rotation up into the Georgia Pole Bay. It's always tricky if you have to land in Georgia Pole. I would like to see them swing up and come into the north side of the circle, but they may not have left early enough to do that because making the way across the Zarky Point can take a while. We've actually seen that be a little bit punishing to other teams.
It's tricky to boat around, to boat around, to boat around. EU also finding it's tricky to get around the rocks on the transition into this little complex, which is a fun complex. I like it a lot. You can transition out to the Yasnaya Lakehold. You can push up Stalver Mountain. You can get a lot of potential kills on people driving by. The downside is everyone knows that someone's in there, right? So as these teams start to establish their positions on the north side, that compound starts to become a liability because everyone grabs spots where they can see it and keep an eye on it, which means when it's time to leave, it can cost you dearly.
Lost HD here trying to make his way to his teammates, but he did get spotted out by Team Gates just to his east. Sent a couple of shots his way, did push him into a prone, and now has to make a long wrap around. Here's a nice grade. This is one that I would like.
You like the M24 with AWM, huh?
Well, because it's 7.62, which I often find a lot of, and I can fire in quicker succession, so missed shots aren't as detrimental.
You know what? You didn't grow up playing Golden Gun and James Bond, I guess, because the one-shot kill is my bread and butter. Speaking of bread and butter, let's talk about smooth rotations coming out as we see your boy Dre playing the scout on the bike, burning past what I believe was the God Squad. We got a quick glimpse. There they are as they shoot off that orange M4, trying to take him off his bike. Maluk staying below the ridgeline, and they'll go up to those yellow houses. It looked like God Squad was thinking about moving to. So Tempo going to continue to be in a little bit of a run-and-gun fight with God Squad. We've seen a couple of those tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because God Squad, they only saw 2 vehicles come past. They may be expecting the other 2 to come up not long after, and so they could be sticking there to try and punish that. But right now, it's actually C9 who are still in rough rotation, spotted out by Core 4 back at that same gas station that we saw them at earlier. or at least saw another team at earlier, but it looks like all 4 of them are going to be able to group up in the hills south of shooting range. So once again, Cloud9, 4 of them in a central position. Let's see if they can't turn this into another good game.
All right, FlyQ going to land below the little hill line, send Lost HD up for the peak right away. Taking some fire from the opposite side, though, so he's now got to change the peak into a push. Grabs the Jeep and pulls it around up to the wall and is going to head on in as fast as he can. Look at that. They're taking fire from all the way up on top. Frolicker with the burn down catches Blue and says, "You're my," well, not a boy, he's his kill, I suppose. It ends up ruining the day for FlyQuest as Lost HD has to just execute plan escape and heads back towards something and Microfry.
They looked like they wanted to potentially do a split between that current compound and the one that they tried to take, but the pressure from not just Gates in the south, but especially Cloud9 just on that ridge over them, not only did it get a kill for Cloud9, but it also just showed them that that position would be punished heavily in that compound with that big giant ridge over it. So they're going to go back and take that solo position, lone single position.
Ooh, look at the bottom of the south, just past Ruins. Wooly, K-Mine, and Penta riding right into Tempo Storm's lair. They do get a couple of shots quickly, so they try to deviate down towards the Ruins. No kills just yet. Maluk going with that lean shot, but it's not quite working out. Pentalol reversing into the Ruins. Some fancy-dancy driving, and that's what you got to do. He was like, I don't want the driver's side facing him. They'll shoot me out, so I'm just going to roll in backwards, and it's harder to kill me. Or he lost a tire. I'm going to go with the fancy driving, was super strategic, but I'm pretty sure he lost a tire. Yeah, there it is. So, tire gone, but still looked pretty damn cool. Zampa, however, says, I don't care how cool you look, I'm still going to try to kill you. Rushes out to take a couple more shots of that 4X, but smooth driving and a bike are the best way to get through the Ruins and make a clever escape.
Second circle, it swings north, so the players are all wrong. Looks like this is going to favor those northern swings at least for now. And this is really good for Totality because they're in a good spot, but they are going to have to worry about Wildcard quickly converging in.
I think Wildcard has to worry about them because they're about to drive into the Taro claim. Taro's going to be watching as they start to roll by. Fortunately for them, they're all on bikes. The first shots ring out, and immediately they both swing to the left and say, nope, not today. Tamai goes to the right, and they play the split around as Totality has to decide who exactly they want to shoot at of all of their options. Now, those bikes make it hard to get a guy shot off of it when they're moving at max speed. They should be okay on their rotation. Meanwhile, the guys who might not be okay, Lush, Nitrogen, Teflon, they're all trying to make a card pass between the red houses and the warehouses. Both of those groups firing at them full steam. Vegas comes up to the hard top of the hill and just unleashes on Nitrogen. He lost a tire, spins around, goes for the backwards escape as well, decides to jump out and follow. Come back, I need you. Looks for the tree, and we'll get a little bit of cover back there. But man, he's now separated pretty far from his team.
Not just 1 tire, but 3 tires. So that was a really brutal transition for him. And as you said, he is separated, not going to be able to use that vehicle to go anywhere right now. Luckily, though, the rest of his teammates were able to make their way into North Severny, coming up against Dash 32. But he is alone, has teammates arriving, but does want to stay safe for now. Core 4, if they push into position, it could be an easy 3v1 if they push up those stairs, but the teammates shouldn't be too far behind. There they are just to the east. Render Eastward coming up, and actually Dash does catch Waylon trying to re-rotate, readjust his own angle.
Becomes his own Moby Dick, takes out Waylon as he drops down inside of that building. His friend's going to have to try to get him up as Dash plays guard. Lush going to push forward to try and save Waylon. Dash, Proximus, and Blown Apart have them at a 3-angle disadvantage. So there's not much Lush can, I don't know. If he tries to push this, he's just way overexposed here as Proximity's watching the back door. In he goes. They should now have an idea that he's probably there. Waylon does start to get the res, and they're not hard pushing him. They're playing this very passively. I think they think all 4 players are here instead of just 2 remaining.
Yeah, they didn't recognize that they lost one earlier on that rotation that we spotted, but nonetheless, they do have these 2 players pinched in. That's not even a word. Pinched in.
Pinched? I accept. No, there's like a pincer move in some sport of some sort, so I think we can accept you. I accept your terms, young man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. That's what I'm here for. All right, now getting past the pinch or the pinch, either one gets you Randy. It's tell you what you don't like, and that's being pinned inside of Severny, where they are going to get crushed in. That said, it's not over yet because Shoot to Kill's pushing in from the opposite side. United still holding the warehouse. It's going to be Tempo that hears that and goes off in a different direction. All of the guys now from Render Esports gathered up, and here Tempo's going to have a hard time. So we see Tempo park the car and jump out. He's going to try to take some shots at EU United, maybe get them to hunker down while BenQ and Maluk make their transition. I don't know how lucky that'll be because as they transition, they're going to walk into 2 more teams that are already sort of dug in here. Nova also following in behind BenQ. They see them driving, say, okay, I guess we'll go in a different spot, and we'll move up here to the gas station, maybe hold it and just wait to see what happens with the circle. They do grab that hill and start to open fire on Maluk and the boys that have decided they'll just grab the walled house down there and hope for the best.
Interesting. Nova aren't going to that compound itself. Rather they decide to stick on the hill because of the sight lines it gives them and the potential defense it also provides. Those walls around that gas station we seem to be really tricky. But look, Tempo Storm still under fire by EU United. Haven't dropped a player just yet. That rotation seems to be successful for now. But let's see what happens when they have to move later on because they're on the far edge. And the next circle that we're going to be revealed in just a couple of moments is likely not going to be on them still. Elusive right now, he found another little spot to loot from. I wonder if that was a kill on someone driving past?
You know, a box is a box. No, that was, remember they got that earlier kill. This was the shot down from Frolicker, I believe, on Fly Q as he tried to make that transition.
Okay,
so they finally got excited. Like they decided it was worth the risk of getting out there.
Yeah, all the rotations that happened past them, and so they saw this was a good opening to do so. Next circle is going to continue to be marginally north. Still a bit of water in this circle, and shooting range is a big, wide open area in this as well. Not a lot of hillsides cresting it in this next zone, and we see some immediate rotations trying to get inside. We already have Set to Destroy racing immediately next to Shoot to Kill. Uncivils does pop out, but oh, a bike kill is going to happen.
Yeah, that's not easy. hitting a man with a bike is not a simple task. Believe me, I've tried many times in real life. Adam Did's going to come out to Uncivils to try to get him up as he's hiding behind his makeshift fortress that is a buggy. He'll go in and double check, make sure that nobody's around, toss that smoke out, and then actually try to go for this pick up. The guy from Set to Destroy, not so interesting. Not so interested in letting him do that as they sort of are up there on the hill, just looking right down on him.
I like the split that team is employing, though. They have 2 players in Severny and 2 in that center hut, so it will allow them to get some good map control, and when the circle likely moves off Severny, those 2 players in that shack can help those 2 players move out in an easier fashion. Of course, those players on the hill are going to be problematic no matter what. Over here, though, Tempo Storm making their own way into Severny, and they're just going to third-party this fight that we were looking at earlier between Render and Core 4. BenQ and the rest of Tempo Storm on this side is only going to make it worse for Core 4 specifically because those 2 players don't have a lot of space that they can move around in.
No, nobody has any space to move around right now. 15 teams, 55 alive. This is a very interesting place to end out the circle. Lots of cover, lots of hills, lots of shacks, decent amount of houses. So it's kind of a really fun spot to sort of see the fight happen or sort of see them develop. That said, there are teams already dug in just about everywhere. So any massive transitions you make at this point puts you at a huge risk. C9 going to start their transition. Frolicker up on the hill is covering as they move down to the shack. Saw with a little bit of a sweet rabbit hop jump. That was kind of stops there on the edge of the shack, and they have a spot inside. I like this spot because once that circle closes, it basically means they've built their own sort of peak fortress, if you will.
Yeah. It's also interesting how they're leaving Frolicker way behind them to watch for any rotations coming up in them from FlyQuest who seem to have moved elsewhere. But looking at Duel right now, they are running up the southwestern edge and maybe running directly into Space Station Gaming, who are continuing to scan around them, watching for any incoming teams.
All right, Pentawall pushing down, Duel trying to find themselves a little bit of land. But like you said, Space Station Gaming is on the watch. This is a really tough rotation for them to make. There's no easy entrance in here, and they know Space Station's Gaming there. And SSG is doing what they do best. They're using these sort of spread cover positions to make sure that anybody trying to push them from behind simply can't do it. And they always sort of make sure their back is covered before they worry about any other sort of form of threats. And I like that they're doing that right now, making life so difficult for Duel. Not because I dislike Duel, but because I like seeing a challenge.
Shots of win, doesn't get the down just yet. Get behind that rock. There you go. But your foot may still be available. But the Blues coming in right now. And now Space Station are well aware of Duel's push onto them. Smurf up close. Has that ridge. Should not get spotted from. And does get an immediate drop onto Wooly.
was a beautiful opening spray, or opening taps, I should say, given to him, of course, because he had that silencer on there, so he had a hard time locating him. But the fight will continue as both teams trying to establish Wooly is down. Can they rescue him? Smurf runs from the blue using the smoke for coverage. Got to worry about that blue and stay ahead of it, though, however. Doesn't want them to see him on that smoke transition. Got a nice little leapfrog cover here from D-Master. And they should still be able to lock out Duel relatively effectively.
Yeah, a second player went down as well, and I don't know if they're going to get the pickup on that because two of them are still down. Znark is actually swinging way down in the south, trying to find his own solo way in. They recognize that it's going to be rough, if possible, to make their way through Space Station. But in the blue, both him and K-Mine have to stop to heal. This next circle has revealed itself being on the southeast side, still around the shooting range, and the field west of Severny. So the cover that you mentioned is only growing less and less.
Less and less. That's absolutely true. Now we've got a bit of a fight going on as the wildcard boys use that time to transition as they kind of heard the fight going on between SSG. Guys from Cloud9 are taking fire from Nova as the circle shifted just a little bit out of that cover that they had sort of established there on the plateau, and they are going to have to make a little bit of a bigger transition, I think, that they had hoped to. Landoon, though, being very aggressive with where his placement is, just sort of laying there in the open, taking those pot shots. Over in Severny, two teams have locked up the circle side of the city. Their opponents have to push into them, and that is something that is very difficult to do in this town. Crossing that middle road is nightmarish.
Yeah, to say the least. Renda Esports especially in a very nice spot to do so, but those two players on the south as well could also do a load of work. Here goes Tempo Storm. They did spot Core 4 to the north. Don't want to force into that fight if they don't have to, but they're going to be running past Nitrogen. Don't know if they're going to be checking his position, and he could end up backstabbing them. That won't necessarily give Core 4 a better shot in this game, but it would definitely ruin the hopes and dreams of Tempo Storm if they end up being caught between Nitrogen and these two players from Shoot to Kill. It's Imagine still peeking across the road, actually distracted by Nitrogen for now. So Tempo Storm, they could maybe use this time to get the run across if they just employ a couple of smokes.
They have a wall, so they can sort of wait the blue and see what the next one looks like to sort of maybe shoot their opponents in the back, or hope they vacate early if they want to. That may be what Nitrogen does as well, since he's pinned down in his location. The rest of Nitrogen's team from Core 4 may rotate over to him as well to try to get that edge. Meanwhile, Nova Landoon has caused some trouble. He ducks into the tunnel. So basically, he was able to get the knock on our scout as he pushed up from Cloud9. However, he had to run back and pin himself inside of the bunker. Smokes it out. Someone's hotboxing that bad boy, and that means they're going to have to wait for it to disappear before they can, I think, adequately push down there and try to clear him out. Is it worth the push down? I mean, that could cost you a player no matter how you push in there. Or is it better to maybe bury a car in the entry, blow it up, and just leave well enough alone?
Just plugging it. Definitely do that. Cars, I mean, in this circle, they could still be useful, but I think it's a lot more useful to use it in this sense than it is to potentially waste a body going down there and getting traded, especially because they have multiple vehicles at their disposal at that position. K-Mine, him and his teammate were able to make their way inside, but now he lost his partner. He's the only one left just on the edge of the blue and is continuing to approach it on his position. That being said, Wildcard and Space Station both have made their way down under shooting range, and so this puts even more pressure onto Nova, those two players that aren't in the tunnel, getting pressured here by Space Station just below this ridge. I don't know if they've been spotted. They did have that wall to work with, and a couple of smokes deployed, though, says otherwise.
Yeah, the problem is they got guys on their backside, right? They have to deal with the fact that C9 is taking those pot shots. SSG's on the other side. Nova is literally between a rock and a hard place and has not a lot of options to keep the smokes down and hope that somebody else gets an engagement here. And that may happen as you see Wildcard starts to take those shots, and that buys Locknarp just a little bit of time to make a hard transition. So it worked out. The idea that Wildcard Gaming came in there and took a few sprays, bought Locknarp rotation time, but he doesn't make the rock. So work out, it did not, I guess, as he ultimately goes down.
Good control right now. Yeah, good control by Shoot to Kill, but they are going to have to worry now back onto Severny because Tempo Storm now need to move into the next circle. Biz right now from Team Gates. He's alone, and that's a nice underhand nade. I believe tossed right in. Perhaps not, but it's going to be the main push anyway. Tero's going to clear him out and take out Team Gates, I believe, in 15th place. And in that position, it is still in the circle. Yeah. Mossy's not too far. No, Team Gates are still in. They just lost one player, but he could help the rest of Totality pound their way through.
So Nova is eliminated ultimately as we see the transition coming from SSG. Good job on Taro, though, activating man mode, much like a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, just goes in there and takes that kill. It was pretty impressive to see and opens up a chance for his team to rotate as well. Gates locked on the outside. Smithy sort of keeping an eye on every. Oh, no, he's actually going to go down. He was watching Taro planning his transition, and it looks like Envy, Kaisuko, and Check Shooter come in, catch him behind the shack, and just end his life.
I hope Gates are watching behind them. It looks like all their attention is now to the north onto Totality. Granted, they are inside a shed, so they can really only look one way, but they need to be aware of any potential push from shooting range. It's going to be a brutal transition no matter what, but I think they should be hearing the footsteps right now. Space Station just running straight forward, and also here comes Cloud9 in a crossfire between Totality and Shoot to Kill. However, Blue is able to make it to the rock.
Blue is going to get to the rock, takes the fire. Oh, that rock is death. Everyone who's tried to get to this rock has died so far. Abandon the rock, lest ye be killed. Solid FPS is going to push in. Frolicker as well. They did not leave a car to plug the hole, by the way. They decided to take him with them. Not a bad call. Wildcard gets the knock on Team Gates as they came out hopelessly from their pit. Frolicker pushes up to Blue, wants to get the rock and the res, and he does. The secret to taking a rock is bringing Frolicker to throw down, and Uncivils is actually healing himself up. He had taken some fire as well. The Frolicker able to make that land. Dune on the big run here. Lots of open field and potential for his death, but no one's looking at him just yet. Solid, there you go. Solid has finally turned. He may see him. Win comes forward and doesn't. I don't want to say he won that shootout. He just crushed that shootout as he gets the knockdown locked up behind the disposable building. That was who was that he knocked out? Wildcard?
That was from Wildcard. Yeah, Wildcard and Space Station ended up getting intermingled, and now Wildcard are out in, I believe, 11th place. But Space Station took a lot of casualties of their own. Quinn's the only one remaining, and he is now inside the blue, going to be taking a lot of chunk damage. And Cloud9 still as 4 somehow made their way to the hill. Take out Space Station from this competition. Elusive did get dropped once again, but that's going to be an easy revive. And because they cleared out virtually everyone else from the southern edge, they can then use that part of the hill for cover from the north, but they are still going to have to continue to move north because this next circle swings far.
I do not know what cologne Frolicker put on this morning, but the circle is allergic to it. So don't ever wear it again because you have been chasing this thing through the last couple of cycles and it has been brutal. That said, they're surviving it, sort of. They got to deal with Uncivils on this tough transition off the rock. Speaking of tough transition, here comes Vegas from E United rolling right smack into Set to Destroy. He got that knock earlier and allowed him to sort of push up and grab himself a wall. He's going to go with a porch toss nade, seeing if he can find somebody, take a door off the hinge, scare him just a little bit. But this is not a bad defilade for him to hold right now as he waits for his chance to push in on these guys.
It's not, but he's forcing the wrong angle, but it doesn't matter because VTV doesn't spot him either, lands a lot of damage, doesn't get the down. But this may be enough to allow his other teammate to join up. He's taking shots from multiple angles. I believe that is Render in from the southeast. Just found a crate for themselves for cover, and now it's Jimmer's turn to make the run across the road.
Jimmer got to make that push. Meanwhile, like you said, we got Render Esports up on top of the hill with their crate. Vegas has gone down to a nade from Fignaldo. They know where he is once he tried that spray. C9 trying to deal with Uncivils and his partner before they make their hard transition. The guys from Shoot to Kill pinned down inside. Blue is going to get knocked. Elusive trying to decide if it's worth going for the res. They toss a smoke out to try and make it happen. The blue is closing, so it has to happen now, but blue goes down. The blue is closing as blue goes down. That's not confusing at all. 3 men left. They try to figure it out. Taro watching like a hawk from his shack. Solid FPS down to 10 HP. Uncivils as well. The spam heals are going off, and the hard push is about to come out as Adam Dids has to just go for it. So he puts the gun up, switches to the Scar, and starts to tear on through the smoke. Frolicker is watching from the high ground, but so far, no shot. It looks like they're actually behind it, so they don't see him just yet. Elusive tried the wraparound, but paid to Adam Dids. Oh my gosh, what a spray down. He gets the double. Elusive, the last man standing for C9, sees Adam Dids, starts to open fire, but Adam gets the tree, not enough. He goes down. Can his partner, Uncivils, take him out? He's making a hard push. He drops. Elusive, the last man from C9, has to hide from the guys from Render Esports. The tree taking some damage, but not nearly enough as Elusive goes to put in that first aid and then have to charge. Mr. Blown Apart goes for the off angle, starts the shots, tries to tag him. Elusive on the run. They don't see him go. They've got a little tree cover, but Bin Long is up close and personal. Elusive tries to get in, but he's got 2 players staring right at him. Bang, bang, baby, bang, the firing line. Drops him to his knees, and Render's got 4 and one hell of a spot.
Yeah, just look at this circle. Everyone's on the edge in a square or a diamond position, rather one team on each corner, and the swing is going to God Squad. Not obviously, of course, on top of them because they are still on the edge of it, but Destroy are pretty close to it as well, and they are immediately moving out. They definitely know of God Squad's position, but God Squad have to worry about 2 fronts because they're taking long-range shots from Render as well.
Worth noting, it's still as far from C9 as it could have possibly been had they survived. So just pointing that out right now. Okay, 14. We got our boys from Set to Destroy. Open fire. They get the knock on Pat Caps. This is big for them as they push the God Squad. Drassel tries to get the peek, but wasn't ready for the relocation. Here comes the relocation pass. He's brought to you by Rift. That 3 down as he tears a hole in the middle of this team. Rift, he picked the name because of how he tears teams apart, and he lives up to it, baby. Rift versus Render versus Taro.
Lone Taro waiting it out.
Yeah. So it's, he's got glasses. All right, so Taro is going to play a little bit of a spoiler role here. He could potentially come in. He knows that they all know that there's one dude, right, at least, that's just sort of out there. If he turns this corner, he could wreak some serious havoc on the boys from Render, but they have to take the risk. They have to push out there and try to control the trees here inside the circle, and that's what they're going to do. They did send one spoiler out to check the shack. He's going to keep an eye out for Taro. Tosses the nade, so they think, okay, there's probably someone in here. The blue is closing. Taro has to go or has to heal. Either way, he has to make a decision. Mr. Blown Apart just waiting for that to happen. The blue has hit the shack, so Blown Apart has given up on watching. If Taro goes, he could potentially pull it off now. Looks like he may stick to the heal strat, and yeah, that's what he's going to do. So he'll just spam heal and hope that the other 2 teams just smash into each other like kids after prom. Mr. Blown Apart holding a rock, waiting for his chance to push up with the rest of his team. I think he's actually waiting for Taro's kill feed.
Yeah, they know Taro's in.
Taro's going!
Out of meds. He has to make the run out, but the play zone should be enough to do the trick, and that does seem to be the case. Mr. Blown Apart, you don't have to be watching that angle any longer, but you don't want to either, because Set to Destroy is on the push, on the flank around. They're trying to surround them, but they're not exactly finding any opening just yet.
Rift with the M4, that 4X going up to the top of the hill. Bin Long, buddy hop, peeking if he can, but he's got the man on all sides. Opens fire. Now Rift knows exactly where he is. Rift comes forward, but the spray is there. It's Bin Long, and he gets that shot down. Making it 3v4, finishes the job. And well, actually, goes for the second spray down. He loses for VTV, but VTV is very low. Good Q grenade, try to finish the job. Pushing up, coming down from Proximus. Blackfin comes up, looking over. He knows where BT is, but he sees his opponent. Has to drop back down, very low on health. Calling it out to Blown Apart and Dash. That could be good for Pignaldo, who's in the off position. They know where all 3 players are except Big, and if they look at those 3 and not him, this could cost them big time. Blown Apart seems like maybe he's too smart for that as he sneaky snacks his way in from the corner. Pignaldo also thinking about getting low and slow as he bounces around the rock. Proximus moving over towards Bin Long in a cover position as they go for the res. Both teams still biding their time, waiting for position. It's actually a 4v3 now as VTV separates the difference between Shu, Ru, and Pignaldo. The nades start to come out, but Mr. Blown Apart is playing the slow off angle as he just lays still and waits to bite the heel like the rattlesnake he is.
Pignaldo spots him out, though.
He got him. He got work.
They do trade a little bit. They have to hurry this up, both squads, because the blue is about to come in and the final circle. No one's really inside, but they are able to get an angle onto Pignaldo. It's actually going to be an AWM shot that finishes it off. Dash does take a little bit of damage. God mode.
Pignaldo goes down. Now it's VTV on the transition. Dash 32 putting in work with the AWM. 4v2. Shu Ru trying to make his way around the outside to the right. They split up to go a little bit wrap around. It's not going to work out at the moment as Proximus and Dash playing very aggressively. Shu Ru trying to find the first man to come up over the hill, but he's got 2 guys pushing him right now. Shot in the leg, shot in the head. That's the end. And a good finish. I think that was Render takes the win. Excellent.
Yeah, a very clean finish for them, and I was actually worried for them overall in those final couple of circles because they were coming from Severny, and it's no secret that if you have to leave a city, you are oftentimes sprayed down, but they were able to use that hill, take it just far to the west of them, and that take on Cloud9 especially, at least the ending of the Cloud9 shoot-to-kill fight. Very good take for them, using that hill, push down. Good fight back by Set to Destroy after taking out God Squad, but that first opening frag going the way of Bin Long and everyone else from Render Esports definitely netted them a very, very good finish.
All right, well, that is it for game 3. We have one more to go as we prep out to see who the winner is of the Auzom Premier League Season 2 for the North American split. My name is Toffees. I'm joined by Cameron Davis and, of course, our eye in the sky, Skyline. I'm going to turn it over to our analysts on the desk to break down what all of you just saw. Esquire and Mustache Dave, take it away.
Thank you, Toffees and Cameron. Welcome everyone back to the Analyst Desk. I'm the real Esquire, joined here by Mustache Dave. Dave, an exciting game